Welcome to Arts Council of Greater Kalamazoo Art Hop. Art Hop right here in our Art Trade Center. This evening's festivities are sponsored by our Alliance of Kalamazoo Artists, which is centered right here at the Park Trade Center. There will be a series of presentations this evening, each of them brief. For example, my 10-minute presentation shouldn't take any more than an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. It's because I'm so shy. That's what it is. Please ask questions, wisecracks, sharp remarks, all of it. It's all welcome. This is a really casual thing. My name is Gerry Hess. My company is Medullary Studios, and I do fine woodworking. I offer fine woodworking products and services in 4 different areas. For the home, for commercial and public spaces, outdoor architectural landscape type pieces, and I also do antique wood window rehab and restoration carpentry. So I offer products and services in all those areas. And a couple of weeks ago, I was making a casual presentation to some of the artists here in the building, and one of the folks said to me, I didn't know there was so much to that. It's like, oh, well, so what I'm going to do this evening is to try to describe just the process of how you commission a specific custom piece for yourself or for the person that you find important. So I've chosen one example of a work that I have done, and at the very end, at the big reveal, hey, this is walking ahead on me. At the end, at a very big reveal, I'll say why this was such an important piece to talk about this evening. So I was approached by a fellow who wanted to commission me to make a thing as a surprise anniversary present for his wife. He didn't want her to know about it. He wanted one of those jewelry things. I said, okay, like a jewelry box. No, the big tall one, So like an armoire. Yeah, that stands by itself on the floor. Yeah. I said, well, sure, we can do that. What are you looking for? What sorts of woods are in your home? What functions, what specific things do you want your wife to have in this piece? He says, well, this is a picture of our dresser bureau. He says, it's an antique. Can you kind of use kind of like some of those shapes and stuff? Well, that's good. Sure. And you can see that's sort of rectilinear, and it's kind of an arts and crafts motif, and that wood that's an oak. So that's a good start. He says, then here's the wrought iron work at the end of our bed. Can you work that in? And I really like her shoe there, don't you? And I'm sure the fuzzy pink bathrobe, that's probably his, right? But there's the wrought iron work at the end of the bed. Okay, well, are there other things? Well, yeah, there's some things like, what we really hope, and come on in and shout questions. That's important. I'd like to have a mirror on top, so she can put her earrings on in the morning and stuff. And on the top of the thing, is there some way you can have like a ledge or a lip or something, so she can put her cell phone up there and charge her cell phone overnight? And then you're thinking, boy, this is all a little granular stuff, but look, it's all good. The more you can describe the things you want, then we can work forward to find a way to put those things in. And as far as jewelry, it's a jewelry box. This particular lady doesn't wear rings. She's a professional person. She wears lots of pins and brooches, and she has necklaces and bracelets, but no rings. Okay, so as a woodworker, I don't put any ring rolls in any of the jewelry box compartments. The next step is to actually meet with a client, and typically I do something like this, sort of a visioning session, where I take just pictures from out there in the world of other people's work. I usually have it as like a PowerPoint or slide presentation so we can look through these different things. In this case, I just put a bunch of them together. You can see they're really low quality images. But let's just look at these and kind of talk about with the client what sort of things you're looking for. Now, he talked about having that wrought iron work, that filigree, that applique. He wants that included somewhere. Well, if this is the one you're looking at, which is this chest of drawers, where are you going to put any applique? But this one up here, this has clamshell style drawers, which enclose a bank of drawers on the inside. Maybe, I don't know what that was. It wasn't me. Maybe the clamshell doors are a concept idea. The legs on this one, this is the sort of thing you could buy at a department store at Christmas for a couple $100. It's made in China out of God knows what they cut down in the rainforest. They made that to sell. They didn't make it to be beautiful or to be useful. Those are the clunkiest looking legs. You don't want those. These are cabriolet legs. Well, the bureau is arts and crafts, so you're not going to use these legs. This is something that is much more, rectilinear. It has some of the mission style, the arts and crafts style vibe to it. So maybe something with that. This is an interesting one, in that it's a beautiful piece of workmanship. But what it's being presented as is a piece of fine art. So what this does is to show off and brag about the wonderful plain grain pattern of the veneer work on those doors. It doesn't necessarily speak to function and utility. For some people, that would be the thing. This one is really square and funky, and I think they made it out of like a rough sawn Western red cedar. So some fella probably really put his heart and soul into that. It's not a piece of elegant craftsmanship. It doesn't really fit with the vibe of what this particular pair of clients are looking for. Finally down here, that is a custom drawer pull. If you're going to have clamshell doors that close over the drawers, you don't want a bunch of hardware that's all protruding so that you have to create extra space between the closed door and the closed drawer. So going back to a checklist, that's before we want to complement that bureau. We want to include a wrought iron design with a mirror on top. We want a detente for the phone. She doesn't wear rings. She's about 5'4", so she's going to put earrings on in her stocking feet. You know approximately how high, at eye level, you need to make this mirror stand. They like the contrasting colors of wood, like the chest that had all drawers and the lip. A lot of people don't like the texture of velvet. So it's important if you're making a jewelry box, you've got to ask. It creeps some people out. Me, when I think of a jewelry box, you think of putting your diamonds on top of velvet, right? Well, she's okay with velvet. And her husband is really clever to figure all these things out, She didn't twig at all. I wish she would stop that. Her favorite color is green. Oh, good heavens. No. We'll show you how we got around that. And we expect comments from the front row. Okay? What I didn't point out was that the necklace pegs, the hanging pegs, on the inexpensive armoire you buy at the department store, they attach those to the doors. So you've got all your chains hanging from the pegs on the inside of the door. Then you swing the door open, and all the chains bang together, and you're entangled. So we won't do that. We'll put the pegs on the case instead of on the drawer. And then we'll design our own drawer pulls. So now I can show you a really long, phenomenally interesting series of photographs of boards and power tools and sawdust and, men with Yeah, we'll cut to the chase. So this is the finished product that we came up with for that family. We adjusted the height of the legs so that when the mirrored top is open, she'll be able to stand in her stocking feet and without having to bend over to open her tiptoes, she'll be able to adjust her earrings. You can see that the very top of the lid has a depression, a detente for her cell phone. These are the clamshell style doors. The doors are held closed with rare earth magnets. This is the applique, which mimics the wrought iron work from her wrought iron bed. The contrasting woods are all, the hardwood is all locally sourced oak and black walnut. This does have a mission style, an arts and crafts style flavor to it. It's not strictly, this could be considered postmodern. There are mid-modern elements. When you open, you can see the hanging pegs along the side of the case. The drawers are getting larger from top to bottom. So the first 4 drawers are lined with velvet for her, various pieces of jewelry. The bottom 3 drawers are actually lined with aromatic cedar. They're too deep unless you've got like really big tiaras or something. I don't think you're going to be keeping them there. But she might be keeping her elbow-length silk, dining gloves or something. So aromatic cedar. And let's go to the next one. And so here's the detente. So there's a lip there for the jewelry box in the very top. And you can see the hinge in particular is what elevates a piece like this from something you buy at the department store, in that if you go to the hardware store to buy a hinge, you can probably buy a hinge for maybe $3 or something. And what it is stamped steel and it's plated with brass. These hinges are actually hand milled out of solid brass. They are Brusso hinges. It's a company over near Detroit. That is called a 92.5-degree stopped hinge. So the hinge opens beyond absolutely vertical. It leans back a little. And what I found when I installed a mirror on the face of this, the mirror made it front heavy. So I had to let in the back leaf of the hinge another 3 degrees or so that it actually leans back farther than 92.5 degrees to stay open. There's a perspective of the applique, the walnut applique. And again, there's where the doors, solid brass poles. There's rare earth magnets on the inside holding the doors as catches. The proportions, the textures of the walnut are directly to mimic what they had in their wrought iron bedstead. Here's the jewelry box on top, all lined with that velvet is actually a really deep forest green, so it looks black. It's not Kelly green, I don't think I could stand that. There's a detail of the legs. They are a compound taper, so they're not rectilinear, they're not square, it's not stodgy. Instead, these impart the visual lift through the entire piece. There's a detail of the joinery, how the legs are put together. Technically, that's like, how on earth do you do that? So that kind of thing took a long time because they're not square angles, and how do you can't just like pound a big nail through there. It doesn't work that way. There's our hanging pegs. I used brass finial butt hinges for the clamshell doors. And there's a custom drawer pull. So I could show a series of pictures of the Oriental Japanese folk architecture underpinnings that we drew this concept and design from. but it's simple, it's understated, and it very much fits with the geography of the entire piece. So there's a perspective looking down from above. It doesn't have a high profile, and yet it offers an immediate grasp in the way to draw those drawers on. So there's that. Okay, so here comes the bragging part of the whole thing. Doing woodworking is a really tool-intensive endeavor. The ridiculous number of tools that you need to do this stuff, it just kind of boggles the mind. One of the things that you need in working with these tools is to collect the dust. You know, you make mountains of sawdust and chips when you do this thing. Now, I have a dust collection system in my dedicated workshop. I've been using it since 1992, and it's currently making those bad noises, you know, those noises that sound like, I'm a Takata airbag, I'm going to explode, you're going to die. I saw an advertisement from a company advertising a contest. The company is Oneida Air Systems. They're one of the premier manufacturers of shop dust collection systems. And in this contest, in their prize packages, their top prize was a complete industrial dust collection system. And I'm going, hallelujah! You know, you open their catalog and the dollar signs fly away. Oh, okay. So I entered this. And I won. It's an international competition across all of North America and Canada. They had hundreds upon hundreds of entrants. I talked to my friend who runs the cabinet shop downstairs. I said, you know, I entered this contest, and he made the face like Popeye the Sailor Man. He goes, no one ever wins those contests. Oh, yeah? I got a t-shirt. Come on. And that's what I got. So last Tuesday, a semi-trailer truck pulls up in front of my shop, and they unload 9 enormous boxes that contain this pile of shop equipment. And I have projects ahead, so I can't shut down my workshop to take this thing out of the boxes and install it. So it's going to be a couple of months before that actually sees the light of day. So what we saw is, you know, just a template for how to commission a custom work. You know, this is specific to the woodworking thing. With any of the artists in the building, if you want a custom piece, it's the same sort of process you go through. You come up with some ideas, you approach them, you talk with them a little bit, and you look at some pictures and you get inspiration from what people do. Doing woodwork, I often have hobbyists come to me and say, well, did you build that from a plan? Well, no. Well, I seen stuff like it. Yeah, all art is derivative. And especially in the world of furniture, there are vocabularies. So if you're talking arts and crafts, there's a certain number of motifs and shapes and figures that you're probably going to work with. As you change to different eras and different design themes, like, you know, my current favorite, I like toying in the realm of Art Deco. They had curves. Can you imagine? It all amounts to having a vocabulary. So by going through existing works and taking bits and pieces and you know, say you're building a new house, you're not going to take what's in the catalog. You're going to want your house to reflect with you and your life and your family. So that's the process. You meet, you talk, you spin some yarns, you look at pictures, you make some choices, you make some decisions, you come to an agreement on price, you come to an agreement on payment schedule, you work it out with the artist, they deliver what you want, probably the greatest part of building that armoire, it was a total surprise to that guy's wife. He knocked off in the middle of the day, early from work, and he and I snuck that thing into their house, giggling like we're school kids because we're pulling a big foolie on this woman. And we installed it, and she was just blown away. That was all that she had hoped for, and her husband was really clever. He sussed all that stuff out and brought it to us. And we're really happy to have a chance to work with him and all of you and all the folks that you know. There we have it, Medullary Studios. And, you know, Steve's got 6 questions he's got to ask. But, other than him, the rest you can throw it open. Thank you.
How much time did that take?
On the calendar, it took about 4 months.
Really?
You know, a lot of shop time. A whole lot of that is setup.
Right.
You have to figure out how things are going to fit together, and the proportions all have to work. So, you know, most pieces are not as involved as this one. This was really up there as far as the amount of effort that it took. It was really invested. What's really great about this woodworking stuff and living right here in this part of Michigan, look at the wood we have available to us. You know, more than 95% of the hardwood I use all comes from local sources. Can you beat that black walnut? I use some of it in the frame around the poster in the back corner there. It almost has a dragonfly wing, you know, an iridescent quality to it. Hey, can't beat that. There we go. Oh gosh, it was only an hour and 42 minutes. You gonna give the next guest speech?
No.
Come on, man.
Did you turn all those packages off? Yep.
That's a good project.
Okay.
I think I told you that.
Yeah.
He told me that he had a friend who has a pen lathe that he can put things on, and basically big sequoias. You know, I'll take.
Up next is Kathy. Okay.
Very good. And we're going to say, take it away, Miss Kathy. Let's see. Do I want to exit?
Where's that? Just pull it out. Oh, yeah, just pull it out.
Did I freeze that?